Hello, hola, buongiorno, buonasera. How are you?
Bon, Jumbo, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well, Kim. I hope you had a nice week, and I look forward to speaking to you about your week in music. Welcome, bienvenidos at Vinyl Junkies episode 34 now. Officially our fourth episode with Kim. It's been fun, man.
Yes,
It's
totally awesome.
I just we had this conversation yesterday as we were kind of talking about what our agenda would be, but we have this pregame thing, and I just completely lost my train of thought. What did we do? What did we do that was so important? Can I tell you about
Well,
winning a record? Hold on. Sorry, man, I'm trying to catch myself. This is the way it goes, Kim, you know. Can I tell you about winning a record? Guys,
yes.
a good record, a really good record. Okay?
Mm,
Do you like Ministry? Do you like
yes.
test pressings? Vinyl Junkies, yes, of course. Vinyl Junkies will give you the opportunity to win a Ministry's Greatest Fits test press 2LP. This is what
Ah,
you need to do. You need to share this here broadcast and, comment. And we're going to pick a winner from all that the next time we talk to Billy Fields of RunOut Groove. And one of you is actually going to win a most excellent test pressing. I'm not even sure I'm going to get one. So that's a big prize. Make sure you share all of this. Make sure you tag your friends. Don't be selfish. And frankly, thanks for the support. It's been great, man. We're having a great time, and it's a lot of fun trying to put programming together for you. Right, Kim?
yeah. I mean, we won't shut up about music, so it's yeah, it's fun doing this.
The fun.
And hey,
Go ahead.
whoever wins that ministry test press, I'm super freaking jealous because
Sure.
oh my God, that's so awesome. You guys
Yeah, but you know those
share and comment and all that stuff.
fuckers, eh?
So
Those fuckers at RunOut Groove. I've told them, hey, it just so Billy, hey Billy, it just so happens I collect vinyl. I like
mm,
vinyl, Billy. I like test presses. I'm promoting the hell out of you here. Send me some love. Wouldn't you
yeah.
want a test press, Kim?
Yeah, I've only got like one or two test presses. Do you have a bunch of test presses?
I have a few, but I mean, do you feel my outrage? You understand? It's like they're holding out. They're gonna send it. I'm gonna look. We have such a big Mexican audience, Kim. It's
Oh,
probably
cool.
gonna go to like Lupe Pachito of Distrito Federal, Mexico, because we have a huge following there. But
Good.
yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. But I feel I should be given an equal shot just as much as the next Mexican,
Oh, we're
right?
fine. We're fine. Everybody's fine. Everybody is equally welcome to win.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Tell me what you've been listening to. I know what you've been listening to, but why don't you start off festivities with what you've been listening to for the week, Kim?
Okay, well, obviously, I've been listening to a lot of stuff. However, I had a big moment because I completed, I did a completionist thing. Not 100%,
Uh huh.
but all of the studio albums of my favorite, Nick Cave, with this album. That is Abattoir
Ab-
Blues and The Lyre of Orpheus.
did that
If you
just come
can
out?
see that. No, it's been out. It's just the last one that I needed to complete all of the studio albums. I was missing this and Dig Lazarus Dig, but my friend Paul, who's on Vinyl Junkies and he's local, gave me Dig Lazarus Dig for my birthday in February, and I
Fun.
realized how close I was to having all, what is it, 16 or 17 studio albums.
Okay,
I was
so
just missing that one. So,
does this include all the Grinder Man and the birthday party stuff? Like you're talking full catalog?
no, well, no, I'm talking Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
However, I'm only missing one Grinder Man, and then I'll be complete with Birthday Party, Grinder Man, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And then I have a few other offshoot, like some 12 inches and whatever. I have some of that stuff. I'm not going to complete all of that probably, but I'll keep trying.
Do you have any of the stuff that he did with PJ Harvey? I'm not even sure if that PJ Harvey stuff that he did with her ever came out on vinyl. I know that it came out like as singles.
Yeah, I have something of them together. I wonder if that's a single. It must be. My catalog of Nick Cave is getting closer towards David Bowie territory these days, so I'd have to look. But
so in terms of your big catalog, in terms of, you know, the artist that you would say you have the most albums of, who would that be?
Oh, it's Bowie, by far.
By far. How many would you say you have if you had to guesstimate, or if you know?
I probably have, I don't know, 90 pieces of 12-inch of him. Okay. And maybe 50, 45, 7 inches, maybe, probably around in there. Plus, I don't have any of the big new box sets. I would love to have them, but I have like the BB or Live at the Beeb and a couple of other things like that, older stuff. But
no, you know, just the numbers you're mentioning. I mean, that's what, nearly 150 pieces. That's a lot. It's funny, because you speak to people about the artists that they're most passionate about. And, you know, I'm very curious to see what the comments on the forum are going to be as we talk about this. It's like, which artists do you have just a ton of stuff of?
Yeah, I'm always curious, like, what that one somebody, like, really went for.
I have...
Yeah, who's yours?
I've got maybe... I figure 125 Ennio Morricone records.
Wow.
I own most of Zappa's studio catalog.
He's got a big catalog.
I've got over 100 Miles Davis recordings, you know, maybe 50 or 60 John Coltrane recordings. I'm pretty close to completing the Charles Mingus catalog.
Wow.
And the thing is, actually... Here, that's the other question, right? You wind up collecting these huge catalogs because, I mean, it's great material, but is it also because you're a completist? Or is it because you genuinely think that the catalog, every part of the catalog, offers something, you know, relevant and just something that connects with you?
Well, you know, that's interesting, because I know some people are like hyper completist. Like, they will get the New Zealand pressing of the 7-inch of the single, that, you know, that kind of thing, which is fine. I mean, I just don't have those kind of resources or time, but
or space.
I think if you really love an artist, then you probably, and you're kind of completionist, and you want at least all the studio albums so you can see the progression, like how this happened to that. How did this get to that?
I had convinced myself that I didn't need all of the Zappa catalog, and that I didn't really want much of the 80s catalog because I wouldn't listen to it too much. I mean, a lot of the political stuff became a little too overblown for me, and I liked it, but I always liked the synclavier stuff, so the jazz from hell type of thing, you know, and the classical stuff. Then I started digging, and then I realized that Zappa's world... He never recorded an album. There was no lineography, if you want. There was no timeline when it comes to him. Everything that he did was kind of circular. So he would cross-reference so many different ideas and concepts, you know, and ultimately it's something that he called the big note. Okay?
Right.
The fun part about that is that, you know, it kind of all of a sudden just lends a certain relevance even to a record you won't play too often. In my case, I don't know, when it comes to Zappa, which one would that be? Maybe Meets the Mothers of Prevention, which is that whole PMRC thing he did. Right. Or, I don't know, Tinseltown Rebellion isn't really something that I would put on too often. Whatever, right? But then it's the fact that I think that Zappa very, very much saw what he did as an oeuvre. Right?
Yeah.
Which he just kept adding to, rather than just a piece of self-contained musical ideas. You know, and once I started seeing that, it's like, okay, well, now I realize that I do need the 80s stuff, because Frank Zappa's always saying something. And I guess that makes me a fucking maniac when it comes to Zappa or any other artist that people like, but, you know.
Well, you know, okay, so... you're saying being self-contained. Like Bowie did stuff that was very, persona, um, themed, whatever, like he did the Ziggy stuff, he did the Berlin stuff, he did the
Thin
Thin
White
White Duke,
Duke, sure.
blah, blah, blah. But there's still a conversation going through there. But, I can see how you say, like, Zappa is more, and I think Nick Cave is more like that. Like, it's just this big, endless thing. It's not phase, 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 even though you can see different things happening and changing throughout. I would say Cave is more like Zappa that way.
Is he a catalog
like
artist
Bowie.
is usually the way I call it. And I think of another catalog artist, as, you would think of the John Cages of the world, or you would think of John Zorn for that matter, right?
Or Brian Eno.
Or Brian Eno. That's exactly it. That's just a catalog. And you pick up any album and it fits.
You're there. Yeah, it fits.
Even and again, it kind of comes down to the, I don't know if you want to call them clunkers or whatever, but it's the albums that I don't attach too much meaning to. But to me, in the Eno catalog, the one that immediately comes to mind is NerveNet. Have you heard that one?
What is it? What's the cover? Do you know?
It's kind of just this angular art that's jagged, and I believe the cover's kind of red. I don't remember too much.
I don't know if I've heard that one or not.
Yeah, it's a pretty harsh listen. I'm not sure if it's fair to compare it to, any other harsher listens from, catalogs like Lou Reed or, I guess it's kind of like, pardon me?
Or Coltrane.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like Metal Machine Music or that kind of thing, or Trans, it's that record in the catalog.
Yeah, the really, really pushing it albums. Which I'm glad that they do, but I think it gets them to what gets that to the next point, whatever they're trying to achieve. But man, you're right. Some of those, like that Coltrane that I got for my friend at the record store, that older gentleman.
Which album was that again? Om, right?
I got him Om and Meditations, but Om came in first, so I gave it to him and I listened to it, and man, I mean, I'm a Coltrane fan, and I can handle some free jazz, and I listened to it a few times, actually. I listened to it like 3 times before I gave it to him. But that's not, if somebody's like, I'm interested in jazz, I don't know if I'd hand them Om.
It's not the starting off point.
It's not a gateway drug.
No, not at all. And actually, if anything, you'll speak to most, Coltrane fanatics, and I'm sure that a lot of them will kind of point to Om as the one that's probably the toughest to swallow. It's kind of disjointed. It's a lot of noise, and legend has it, of course, that they dropped acid, or at least some of them dropped acid before they just went on this fucking massive skronk fest. I love the record. I love the record.
I do too, but man, it's wow.
I see the difference, for example, between that kind of skronk and Interstellar Space, or Africa Brass, which is all very skronky also, but it's kind of like there's a different thing. There's like a spiritual, there's a spirit, Jesus Christ, this guy, man, John Coltrane, right?
Yeah.
It's just, he's just, if that's probably what God sounds like, man. And that's where a lot of his music will take you. And then you listen to Om, and it's just, some of that, like, it doesn't attain that same height at all. It's like, there's some kind of, like, disparate thing happening. But I still like it.
Yeah, I love it, too. It's, I don't know, I equate that kind of thing to abstract art. Like, some people will walk into a museum and see, let's say, a Rothko color field painting. So it's just like this big, maybe red square with like a little bit of orange or whatever. And Rothko is one of my all-time favorite artists. I can sit in front of one of his paintings forever. Sure. And so somebody walks into a museum and is like, well, my 6-year-old could do that. Well, they could, but they didn't. And you're missing the point here is the art and the emotion. And then there's like gestural painters like Pollock, who through paint, and part of his art is the actual making of the art. It's not necessarily the finished piece, although it is. It's about the actual physicality of it. And I think Om reminds me of a Pollock painting. it's a physicality of the music. I don't know. I haven't quite got my thoughts in there, but I know I'm on the right track, I think.
Okay, it's funny because then if I took that a little further, I would say that I don't even agree there, because Pollock took that freneticism that you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
and invented something.
Well,
Those
he did.
sprawling canvases and just it's fucking manic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he created that entire genre. When you think of Coltrane and you think of the genre, right, or the spiritual jazz or the free stuff that he
Mm-hmm.
ushered in, Ohm isn't the same thing at all. It doesn't fit that same puzzle somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying that feels gestural
Yeah,
to me.
fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like it feels, I don't know. It feels physical more than anything. I don't know. I'm still working my head around that one, but
See,
it sure is interesting shit.
the deal is exactly that. What it is that I'm appreciating out of all this is that we may just have spent, 4 or 5 minutes talking about John Coltrane. And that, my friend, makes this a very good show for me.
Nick Cave to John Coltrane.
Nick Cave to John Coltrane, and who else? Actually, that's what I was trying to refer to yesterday. Kym takes down a lot of notes for stuff that will eventually get uploaded on the website. We're working as hard as we can to get that stuff up. But Kym takes down a lot of notes, and we were kind of talking yesterday night, and it's like, I wonder, like, you're going to be tabulating all this, Kym. I wonder how many bands we spoke about just last week. And it felt like, a couple of dozen kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to, like, mentally count them until afterwards, but yeah, we talk about a lot, and they go from A to Z. It's like Zappa was just in there a second ago. I don't know. We talk about a lot of bands, so I'm always curious if we mention bands, if people are the fan of Zappa is just like yay, and the fan of Coltrane's like yay.
Yeah, and then, you start thinking, and it's like the fan of Abbath is like, oh man, this sucks. You hope not, right? Because I think the appeal of this, and I think what we've captured, I mean, in my opinion, and why I get off, whenever we get off the show, right, I always wind up feeling really good about it, is because I feel we're capturing exactly the type of conversation that I've always longed for, but could have with almost nobody. I've said this before, I was a lonely music nerd because a lot of people kind of just did. Metalheads wouldn't listen to funk, wouldn't listen to jazz, wouldn't listen to hip hop and classical. And, I remember the kid who liked classical music in junior high getting the shit kicked out of him because he liked classical music.
That's not fair.
And his father was a watchmaker, so he had kind of like this artistic bent. And I went to him, and I was a metalhead, full-on metalhead, but it's like, you like classical music? And I remember him being completely shy about it. It's like, yeah. And it's like, I thought it was the most fascinating thing, but that's kind of what... it couldn't happen. I remember, having this conversation with this metalhead who's like Marvin Gaye wanted to turn it off to put on some fucking Anvil or something. And I mean, listen, I'm fine with Anvil, I am, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's like this mix that I had made and Marvin Gaye was on, and it's like, no, man, you gotta take this stuff off. Marvin Gaye, he's gay. And I got so personally offended by this. You fucking lunkhead, And I constantly, I'm sure you understand that I will never be satiated. I will never get fed up of listening to the next thing and being turned on by music. So the idea that I gotta talk only one thing gets really frustrating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I don't know. I want to talk to somebody who, I mean, okay, let's use the metalhead thing, because I'm a big freaking metalhead too. Hi. But I hate the whole purist thing, or we use subgenres to describe music and kind of categorize, and I don't have a problem with that. Like,
no,
if I know somebody really likes sleep, I might recommend, I don't know, something else sludgy, or I mean Dimmy, or yob, So we're using a base language to kind of describe and categorize.
Sure.
But I hate when people will not look outside that box. Like, there's this whole world out there. If you don't like jazz, how do you know you don't like jazz? Have you tried jazz? Okay, if you try it and you don't like it, that's cool. But maybe you want to explore psychedelic rock, or I don't know.
Can I just make an illusion, or just make a comparison?
Okay.
It's like pledging allegiance to oranges. I want oranges, and you know what? Listen, I like fucking tangerines.
I was gonna
I
say,
like nectarines. I like navel oranges. I like blood oranges. Dude, I'm all over the place. My taste is everywhere.
But you know, and sometimes I want an apple.
Fuck. You go to a buffet and what do? You just grab one thing? It's a buffet, man. And some stuff will challenge you, and some tastes are different, you know? And when I think about food, I think of, you know, stuff that's very spice-based, for example, like maybe Indian food, or very, very fish-based, like, you know, maybe Portuguese or something. And, you know, it requires a certain palate. And maybe it's not something that you're used to, or maybe it's not something you can have all the time. But I can't imagine just fucking saying, you know what? It sucks.
Have a plate of oranges.
I'll have a fucking plate of oranges. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So for me, just like I would like to visit as much of the world as possible and speak to as many people as possible and learn as many languages as possible. Music, man, why limit yourself? There's so much. Fuck what? You like black metal? Dude, you know what? You want to hear the exact opposite of that with the same intensity? Put on a Coltrane record. Put on a fucking Coltrane record. It'll blow your motherfucking mind.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you know, the thing is that you're capturing an emotion, you're capturing a feeling, and you can take rage and express it in different types of ways. You know, it's a palette, man. Why stick to the same fucking colors all the time? And I think that's one of the things that we capture, and I like it, and why I appreciate you. Is our conversations go everywhere, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much. There's not enough time. I wanna hear it all.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it all, and I want to hear all of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're always going to have our preferences. Like, I like this more than I like that, but I sure want to hear that too. You know, I don't want just a plate of oranges at the buffet. I'm
still always interested, though, in the stuff I don't get, but that everybody outside of me gets. I can't think of a more recent example, but I know that one lifelong example has always been REM for me. I just don't like REM.
Mine's
I know
Pearl
it.
Jam, so,
yours is Pearl Jam. Okay. Yeah. REM was for me, couldn't do it, man. Where were we going with this?
We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about what
dead ends, Kym.
We just tangented so hard.
I'm trying hard to get us back on track. Say something.
Hey, okay. So I just want to talk about how freaking cool it is to have all of the Nick Cave, and I have a recommendation. If you don't know Nick Cave, it's a little bit of a pricey recommendation, but if you don't know where to start with him, the solo album that I recommend is Let Love In. That's a good, solid, beautiful, beautiful record. But there's also just released last year. This is called Lovely Creatures. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, 84 to 2014. It's
nice.
Triple. Holy shit. Triple.
Oh, nice. I didn't know about that. Who put it out?
It is on BMG.
And when did it come out?
I want to say October, September. It hasn't, maybe. You know me, it could have come out 2 weeks ago and I'm being incorrect. But this is gorgeous.
It's the first I hear of it.
It's embossed too, and look, it's got all this there's a booklet in there, and this though covers. I mean, it's 3 albums. So, I mean, it's got everything from the Weeping Song to the Ship Song, Ship Song, Staggerly, the
Of
Mercy
course.
Seat, which is my favorite Nick Cave song. But it's a good overall, overarching. Oh my God, this thing is delicious. You should. The packaging on this is
Well,
insane.
I don't have a lot of Nick Cave, so that's probably the type of thing that would be in my wheelhouse as well. You know, rather than just start trying to attack the albums one at a time, I think maybe
Yeah.
just having kind of like that triple is nice. I can't even remember the Nick Cave albums I have. I think I
Yeah,
have From Her to Eternity and something about funerals.
Yeah, my funeral, your whatever. My funeral, your.
Hers.
But okay,
Something.
yeah.
Something.
My funeral, your. Anyway, but that again, it's a little okay. It's kind of a best of, which I'm not. I used to be kind of against greatest hits things, but now I freaking love them.
So do I.
And that one is, holy shit, that's one of the best like compilation kind of albums I own. And yeah, it's a perfect way. If you want to get into him but you don't want to invest in 30 records like I have, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
Good
and the
overarching.
thing is that having that compilation will never stop you from moving forward and picking up everything. I mean, I think of all the bands that I started with because of a compilation, and you know, Aerosmith was really, I mean, what is it, '86? I've told this before, but you know, right before their Cocaine album, they're Done with Mirrors, and you know, I found a copy of Aerosmith's greatest hits, and it was cheap, so I brought it home and was summarily blown away by everything on it because it had all of that classic rock feel, but with a swagger, but it was stuff that I didn't know, right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of like I'd been all Rolling Stoned out, and at that time, Aerosmith were not very big with the classic rock, right? People had kind of forgotten about them other than, you know, Dream On and maybe Toys in the Attic or something,
Right.
right? And it's only after they tried to jumpstart their career with Done with Mirrors, which I thought was an excellent rock album, but, you know, not a commercially successful in any way. And then obviously they went into the whole Permanent Vacation Pump thing, which kind of
Right.
like launched their entire career again. But, you know, that whole period, and I still contend, I mean, for me, what, the first 4 or 5 Aerosmith records are fucking brilliant records. It started with the greatest hits.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, yeah, greatest hits will get you in there, open that door. And then I'm on sometimes like this time, I'm on the opposite end. I have all of that stuff, but I still listen to this best of. I mean, I
There,
listen to his solo, you know, the individual albums, but there's something about a really good compilation, man.
well,
Just kind of.
we can, why don't we go on with that? Because I think of 2 things, right? Firstly, okay, there's the compilations that, you know what, that's really all I need because I don't wish to go any further. This is what I like it for. And for me,
Right.
the perfect compilation for that was Journey's Greatest Hits. I really love that Journey's Greatest Hits, and I want that on vinyl. And it contains that 60 minutes of music that I love. I don't want to have to listen to every album because I'm just, that's as much Journey as I want to enjoy. And I think of Styx as another example. Okay. Then there's the other side of the spectrum, right, where you have something like Bob Marley Legend that stands up. I mean, Marley Legend is a legendary compilation. It's like the
Right.
Eagles' greatest hits, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
it
it's
is.
these are legendary compilations that stand up on their own and they've soundtracked. How many fucking dorm rooms? That's for sure. How many dorm rooms? I remember hearing that to death, so much so that it's like I love Marley, and that compilation obviously, you know, I went all in and I buy everything from him now and have almost everything, but
Yeah.
I couldn't listen to that compilation anymore.
Yeah, I don't reach for that. I reach for the individual albums with Marley. But like again, at the Vintage Freak, the record store that I work at, we don't have that much new stuff. But man, if when I do order Marley, Legend goes first
Sure.
because
Forever.
it's a gateway and it's also kind of a nostalgia. I think people like our age who are buying it, maybe for themselves again or for their kids, Legend is what they heard in their dorm rooms or over that summer or whatever.
Well,
So
you actually just bring up a perfect example, right? As my kid is getting more into music, you know, she's got her own taste, and you know, we're connecting on Beyonce, that's for sure. But in terms of gateway albums, if I had to give her, she knows who Marley is. She knows who Bob Marley is. She's been listening to it poolside since she was a little kid. And if I had to get her a Bob Marley record, the one I'd get her is Legend. Not because it's like, oh, well, you know, it's like, no, that's not the purest way of... No, because that really is a fantastic cross-section of the guy's entire catalog. And if you like it enough, you go deeper.
Yeah, it's a gateway drug. Gateway album.
I love compilations. Love them. Actually, if I can, I mean, you know about this, but I think I may have spoken about it or not, but you guys, we will be curating, I will be curating a CTI compilation. Currently looking through a bunch of stacks and stuff, so Kym and I have been working in the background and talking about things, all things CTI, along with some stuff, and we're going to put together a series of compilations that'll capture a mood, right? So if you want to listen to the funk, there'll be a CTI funk catalog, and if you want to listen to something that's kind of like a little bit smoother, let's say you want the bedroom side of CTI, you know, I'll put on maybe some Ron Hubbard, or I'll put on some Stanley Turrentine for sure. You know, and what we're going to do is we're going to capture some of these moods. We're actively working on them, and I'm throwing the gauntlet down to Kym, and now I'm doing it here live. I challenge Kym as a photographer to try to come up with an image that represents the music and the mood that we're going to be making with these compilations, and accurately captures those legendary CTI covers. You know, because
we didn't talk about it, but I have been listening to some CTI this week too. So
it's going to be fun to see that, because for me, I want to be able to say that, you know, that Kym got to do a photo credit on an album. That's a really cool thing, and I think that you're good. I like your photography, and, you know, let's make it happen, man. So we're listening to a whole lot of CTI here.
Yeah, there's a lot of CTI going on. A lot of CTI.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, that I'm going to do something to make sure that us vinyl junkies and you vinyl junkies will be taken care of. So we'll look at maybe a special vinyl junkies pressing, the first time ever, you know. And guys, I'm looking at the thing from top to bottom. Okay, so I'm telling you, it's going to be good. I promise it will. You want this. Okay, so you know,
I'm curious what people, if they have any favorite CTI albums.
The thing is that it's such a large catalog.
I know it's huge, but you know, some people might be like, well, I just love, I don't know,
well, the
Ron
obvious
Carter
one
on CTI or whatever.
The obvious one, I think, would be something like Red Clay. I mean, Freddie Hubbard Red Clay, I would think, is probably the best-selling CTI record. You know, maybe Deodato, I don't know, but there's a few of them. But I remember, I mean, I just got into it because I just tried. And this entire world was opened up to me, and you know, this experience of the gatefold album and the quality of the jacket. You know, I've played with those records so much that I can't wait to make this compilation for you guys, these compilations for you, because it's a wonderful catalog, man. And
it's deep. It's very deep.
When we talk about greatest hits, I had my own entry into CTI, and that was this CD called Birth of the Groove. And I'm pretty sure that we can recreate that kind of thing, and I'm up for the challenge, and I hope you are from the photography point of view, Kym.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'd be so cool.
Right?
It's interesting too, we're talking about the albums, the covers, the sleeve jackets.
Yes.
I can find a CTI album by looking down on a stack.
Yeah, oh sure.
And just, you know, just visually scanning a stack.
Oh, sure.
I can usually tell which one is a CTI album.
It's when the sleeve is made a certain way, okay, and I mean, I go back to stuff like Impulse, I go back to the way the Black Lion stuff is being done now, and I go to something like Light in the Attic, you know, some of the soundtrack labels, you can tell a Stoughton tip-on jacket. As a matter of fact,
crazy, yeah.
I think you can. I think the ad that they just gave me kind of like just stacks up all the spines. You can tell just by the spine what it is, and that's such an enormous part of the experience. You know, that stuff in the back. It's not to show off. Nobody buys 5,000 records to show off. It's something that we love. It's something that you collect. It's something that you archive, and you want it to look nice. And yeah, you feel proud. You feel proud of it. And anything that adds to that experience, to me, is exactly what vinyl is about. So, I mean, to be, you know, politically incorrect when it comes to the foods, you know, if you order a steak, it's going to be yummier if it smells like a steak. Okay, it's not just something that's a side. It's a necessary part of the experience.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's something that you don't think about too much. Well, I mean, us vinyl junkies probably do.
Well, you have to, right? Because that's the difference. If it's just music, you can listen to it streaming, and streaming is a far more convenient outlet. But the thing is that I remember when I was streaming, especially when it was MP3s, and I just clicked from one thing to another, I wouldn't even get through an entire song, much less an album. A record slows time down. A record forces you to place yourself in a time and a place. You listen to the thing, and anything that engages you in the music more, to me, is a plus. And I mean, that's why I like vinyl, because I love music so much that I want to be able to experience a lot of things. One of those things is very much having these weekly conversations with you. This shit sustains me, Kym. I love talking to you.
I know, it's so good. It's so fun to have somebody that, my people, that understands. And doesn't just glaze over.
Nah, you know, and the comments, man. And the comments come through, and I love reading those comments. I love seeing people get excited about this music, you know? And it's not just, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, and I'm going to try to win a record. I promise, we're going to give away that Ministry record. So yeah, share, comment, tag a friend, do all that. I got it. But ultimately, if you're at minute 37, hopefully it's because you can kind of feel this mojo that happens when you got two people who just connect on art.
Mojo Nixon.
Mojo Nixon. And you know what you are? Can I tell you what you are, Kym?
Oh God.
You are my skid roper. You are my skid roper to my you are the skid roper to my Mojo Nixon.
Them's bold words.
Yes, they are. Fuck, I wish we could cue in banjos. Where's the producer when we need it?
Okay, so since we've carried on about my Nick Cave and Zappa and everything else, what have you been listening to, Sam?
Holy fuck, can you believe we haven't even gotten to that. I've been listening to a couple of things. First of all, you know what? I won't even need to talk about it because it's been back there. Miles Davis, John Coltrane, the VMP Jazz selection is everything you want it to be. This is the tour that, the final tour that they took together right before John Coltrane just went off on his own and was launched, right? By this time, he'd already released his first record, his solo record, in 59, okay. Giant Steps, right? So he had this, and you can see that there's an evolution with John Coltrane, you know, from the early Prestige stuff, where he's kind of like just playing the, he's playing the standards. And then, you know, Miles Davis, where he's beginning to find his voice, but he's still playing with, you know, he's playing kind of with Miles. And then he goes into Giant Steps, and it becomes a different thing. And you hear it on this tour. And you hear it on this record, this Paris concert from 1960, that there's one particular part in the song Walkin', which I think is side 3, where John Coltrane just goes off on a very Miles Davis type solo. It's not the type of thing, you know, it's kind of like he's just going off and doing his thing. It's kind of like you can see that he's already got 1 foot off the stage and he's headed to his own career. And the thing is that historically, if memory serves me properly, that's exactly what was happening with Coltrane, right? This tour, this final European tour, was a contractual obligation, okay? Because Coltrane's Giant Steps came out, his career was kind of crazy, and he already had his own thing, but he had made a commitment to Miles and went along and, you know, committed, he just completed his commitment to him. But, I mean, listen to the records and you see that Coltrane's off doing his thing, walking, man.
He's got a foot out the door.
He's got a foot out the door, you know, and if you read the biography, you'll see that Miles was kind of like a little sore about that, and he kind of starts launching a little bit into this thing against the avant-garde and how he doesn't understand it, and you know, he got himself into hot water once when somebody asked him what he thought of not Albert Eiler, but Eric Dolphy, who played with Charles Mingus, right? Yeah. Eric Dolphy, and he's just Eric Dolphy's kind of, you know, very scronky, and he's got a certain sound. And, you know, somebody asked Miles Davis what he thought of him, and he described Eric Dolphy's music as, you know, sounds like somebody stepped on his foot. And Dolphy died, you know, just a couple of days later, so they completely fucking villainized Miles over that kind of thing. So he did kind of go off in that thing, and there was... Miles knew that he could not contain Coltrane. Nobody could, but... You know, he recovered pretty well. That second quintet wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't. And, I mean, it could have been a lot worse, considering the stature of those two. I mean, and Miles had an ego, but he was also willing to give people hands up and hands in, you know, to help them. But he was also quiet about giving any kind of praise. Everything that I've read, he was probably pretty difficult.
Oh yeah.
Or like you didn't know what he was thinking. You didn't know if he was about to be pissed. You didn't know if he was happy with what you were doing.
Mercurial,
which puts
absolutely.
you kind of on puts you on uncertain footing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And very, very mercurial. And the deal with him was that he'd just try to get everything that he can out of people. He just knew how to channel people's mojo into what it is that he did. And that's, I think, really the genius about that guy. I don't remember the exact quote, but at one point, you know, it's about the space between the notes, you know? Yeah. And I think that's really the first thing that I loved most about Miles. Of course, I had heard Birth of Cool, and that's, you know, the big launching pad and stuff. But for me, it's when he started going modal, with just really quiet stuff. Man, so what, and all of the, you know, that kind of thing that just launched me. And when you think about it, well, when you think about it, I mean, it's opinion, I guess, but a lot of what Miles does, what he captures, is that kind of feeling, his notes. Sometimes, especially when he gets sparse. I'm not talking about the 70s voodoo stuff, but when he gets really sparse, his notes kind of like they hang. They linger, and they sound like, because a lot of times it's just he places them in a certain way, they sound like they're just kind of hanging there and lingering there, and they kind of take the space of their own. And fuck, man, many have copied it, and many, you know, try, but I'm not sure why I went off into that, other than, I guess, just a fanboy rant.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's interesting, and I not to sound cheesy or new agey or esoteric or anything, but when he gets real sparse like that music, and those notes are just hanging there, to me that's like the language of the universe. Like he's tapping into something more than music. More, I mean, it's again, it might be hyperbole, but you know, I feel like it's this I don't know, like he's tapping into something. Yeah, it's amazing.
He's tapping into a certain emotion and really exploring it, and just really doing it well, interpreting it well, and you know, people are able to connect with it, and it doesn't have to be a whole. It's, the guy's a genius. I mean, what else is there to say? What do you say to somebody who's, you know, created their own language? They've created their entire language. You know, I forgot what meal it was, but at some point Miles was invited to a meal with a bunch of politicians, like one of those big things. What is it? The Medal of Honor, something like that,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
One of
Or
those
Lincoln
things. He was
Center
invited. Yeah,
things,
yeah,
yeah.
Lincoln Center, one of those type of things. And I forgot which politician's wife basically didn't know who he was, and asked Miles, "Is like, oh, what do you do?" And his answer, and this was like the wife of a former president, I believe, or something. I don't remember. I wish I did, but basically, somebody that I knew, and I'm not American, And she asked Miles Davis what he did, and she goes, "Well, I've changed music 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. What do you do besides fuck your husband?"
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. You don't fuck with him. You don't fuck with Miles, man. He was a mean son of a bitch.
Yeah, he was mean. There's some, yeah, that's, wow. I mean, he
Can you
did,
imagine that?
But simmer down, dude.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
talk to
yeah,
people
yeah.
like that. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And like
Wow.
he anyway, that double LP is analog. It's from the source tapes. You're gonna get the good stuff, and it's curated and managed by Miles Davis Legacy, okay, which is to say his 2 daughters and his
family,
his nephew take care of that. So it's kind of like buying the Jimi Hendrix Legacy stuff. You're getting the good stuff, and it's being handled properly. I thought the cover was a little flimsy, but whatever, I didn't think it was a big deal. And actually, the record didn't come with a little booklet that usually comes with every Vinyl Me Please thing. The little booklet's really fun, and it's what makes the subscription. And it didn't print on time. They're going to be sending it along with the next jazz order, as far as I know.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to have that. I mean, can't go wrong with Coltrane and Davis.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about new releases?
Sure.
Because there's some interesting ones.
Go for it. New releases, sure.
Stuff that released yesterday. So the Thundercat album Drunk. There is now Thundercat Drank. I think we talked about that before. It's being released on purple vinyl because Drank. So it's
because it's like purple Kool-Aid, man. Grape Kool-Aid, maybe.
Yeah, Drank is a thing. If you guys don't know what Drank is, look it up because I don't want to talk about it. So DJ Candlestick and OG Ron C remixed Drunk to make Drank. Now, I don't have the vinyl, but I have listened to quite a few of the songs, which is kind of fun to listen to the ones on Drunk and then the remix on Drank.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably not going to be for everyone. I think it's kind of interesting. On Drank, they've slowed the vocals way down, so it sounds like it's melted. But then they do have some additional effects and stuff on there. But every song that I listen to it's the same vocals, but they've been melted.
I think I'm okay with that. I haven't heard it, and I don't want to hear it because I want this record. I already like the fact that it's going to be on 2 LP instead of that really beautiful looking and annoying gorgeous box set.
So annoying.
Right.
But so I want to listen to it all the way through too to see if I find that annoying or not. When I was listening to the YouTube videos, it's fun. I like it. Man, the comments were all over the place. I'm curious about the people that have it right now, what they think, because I was like, this is awesome. I like this weird slowed down, I melted my vinyl outside or my cassette, it's like that whoa kind of sound. But it's really cool. So I'm dying to know what people think about that.
Thundercat is just it took me a while to get into any of this stuff, and it took me a while to wrap my head around Drunk, but I did. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure you'll be picking it up as well once you see it.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm in, but it's weird, people. So I want to have conversations with people that have it and have listened to it.
Conversation to be continued.
Yeah, after you and I both get it, I want to talk about it again later on. So
sure.
Okay. Earthless, the metal band, has a new album out called Black Heaven, released yesterday. Nuclear Blast. God, I love Nuclear Blast.
And Earthless.
And Earthless. I do love Earthless. Now, this album, and I listened to the whole thing. I don't have it on vinyl yet, but I did listen to the entire album. Holy shit, it's so good. It is different because I think there's like 6 songs and only 2 of them are fully instrumental. There's more vocals this time from Isaiah Mitchell or whatever. Yeah, the guitarist sings in this one. And man, he's got a great voice. But man, that album is fucking awesome. I might go get it today because it was so good. I was just like, this is straight up my alley.
I don't know how many Earthless records I need, though. I have a couple and I like
different.
it.
But this one's different. I'm telling you, it's different.
I mean, listen, obviously I'll give it a listen, and the second I see it, I'll pick it up likely, you know, but I always liked them. They always had this thing.
I like them too, and I tend to not get too deep into the whole psychedelic metal. I mean, it's not really psychedelic, but you know what I mean? That the Earthless vibe.
Yeah, sure.
I like it, but I like things a little more doomy.
But yeah, it's a little more spacey, you know?
It's more, exactly. It's more space rock metal.
You know, it's kind of like trying to capture a little bit of that Hawkwind thing. And
yeah.
But it's not Hawkwind. It's just, you know, it's Earthless.
But I think they went out and recorded in that studio. Who has that studio out in Joshua Tree?
Can't say.
The guys from Queens of the Stone Age recorded
there. Oh, are you talking about
Brant
Bjork's recording studio? Or something like that. Yeah. A whole lot of the desert rock stuff comes out of there.
Anyway, they recorded this one there. And you can tell. You can tell it's not a desert record. It's not a desert metal record, but you can there's a taste of sand in your mouth when you listen to it. And there's also, I mean, there's a little bit more classic rock. I think it's just a little less psychedelic, a little less spacey, a little more classic, and a little more, it's got some desert vibes to it this time, and more vocals.
Actually, what I can definitely get into now is and it goes into the new releases. I don't remember how the exact date, but I'm showing it right here now, Kym. The new Dreamwife record, which the Vinyl Me Please collection box came in, right? And Hessler's got this thing where he's done it a couple of times where he just sends a record that he thinks I'll like, or just that record that is supposed to be the conversation starter for the next time that we talk. Actually, our next show, me and Hessler, is coming up on Monday. What we're going to do is at noon, exactly when the VMP stores, we're going to go on live and talk about what our picks were if we had $100 each. So this was a pick that Hessler made last week in round 5, and he sent it to me. And I'm always kind of like reticent. I don't know, but it's like, okay, look, you try it out. Dude, I made you listen to it yesterday, actually, during the pre-gaming. You drop the needle on it, and it's just an amalgamation, a fresh amalgamation of everything good about all those Riot Girl bands you like.
So
Wasn't it great, man?
Oh, my God. It's Karen O, and it's the Donnas, and it's the Muffs, and it's L7,
the Breeders, and it's got that fucking it covers that fucking Blondie vibe. It covers it all. And at some point, actually, I wasn't like, because you were listening to it, you were listening to it over your phone. Maybe you weren't able to catch the subtleties, but at one point, I mean, there were a lot of things that could have gone wrong there. Okay, it's a trio, right? It's a trio made up of 2 UK ladies and 1 woman from Iceland who met up in art college. So it's like, you know.
I know. I hear, trio met in art college.
Yeah, it's like, okay, are they gonna? Who knows what's gonna come out? So you're kind of like, is there gonna be this pretense or whatever they're going to do? And then you just listen to it, and it's fucking just balls out rock and roll, man. And they do it so well, and everything that I like, down to the Go-Go's, dude, down to the Go-Go's, I would even say, not because they sound like the Go-Go's, but they capture that infectious thing that makes you sing these songs. And just I can't say enough good things When did it come out? It came out earlier in the year, but so far I would say it's my favorite record of 2018, Dream Wife, man.
Yeah, it's Dream Wife, two
Dream
words,
Wife, yeah.
is the name of the band. Man, and it's not, you guys need to listen to this because it's not just, okay, don't be dismissive because it's women, obviously, duh, don't do that. But also don't be dismissive because it sounds like we're referencing a lot of pop bands. There is some freaking Karen fucking O
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
there is a little bit of Sleigh Bells in there, and there is
Sure.
some Riot Girl in there. It's not that there's anything wrong with poppy, like I love the Go-Go's or even the Bangles. I like the Go-Go's better,
Me
but
too.
there's an edge to there. This is the real deal. This
Yeah,
is not surface
it's not
bubblegum
derivative.
toss away derivative. You can hear the influences, but it's their own. And her voice is really cool because she's Icelandic, so you get a little bit of the Bjorky kind of accent.
On some
It's so
songs, you
cool.
really do hear a little bit of the
Yeah.
Bjorky thing, and it's like, damn, you're hitting all the check marks. And maybe the reason it is that I got into this conversation is because we just came out of like the stoner doom desert rock thing, right? And so it's just this idea of a lot of the bands sounding like one another after a while, and it becomes
Yeah.
becoming difficult to differentiate yourself in this,
Difficult to, yeah,
in this
absolutely.
big
Yeah.
crowded area of music. And you come out, the girl group again, it's like you think, okay, the Pitchfork crowd, and you think, look, I listened to the thing, and immediately, this is the kind of thing that I usually recoil in horror to, that I don't want. But one of the first thoughts that came to mind was, dude, if these guys start hitting all the big festivals like Coachella and
Hmm.
I don't know the names of all of them, okay? But they start going to all of those festivals here in Montreal. They got Osheaga. They're going to clean up. They're going to make a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see them live. I bet you they just fucking kick so much ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you
Check that
mentioned
band.
L7. L7's a good comparison to a little bit of Breeders as well.
Yeah. There's definitely some Donnas in there too.
Sure.
Yeah, and some Muffs.
Check it,
Maybe a little bit
dude.
of Slits. Yeah, it's so good. God, holy shit, go listen to that album.
What we're going to do is I'm going to let you go on while I pick a winner for this week's prize, because of course I forgot, and I really hope to God that I'm not going to lose the feed. But what else is in the news, Kym?
Okay, well, one more release I want to talk about because Snoop Dogg did a gospel album
Ouch.
called Bible of Love. Okay, so you say gospel album, I'm like, I don't, maybe. You say Snoop Dogg, and I'm like, what's he doing? So it's a double album, 32 tracks. He appears in some
Whoa.
of the tracks. He just curates some of the tracks. He's got some really big names. I mean, Patti LaBelle is on it.
Is it all new
Faith
stuff?
Evans.
But okay, so it's all new tracks, right?
Yeah, and I haven't listened to it. It's 32. It's 32 tracks, and I don't have the actual vinyl. But I did hop around and I listened to like 6 or 7. He's got an actual video for the first single, which is "Words Are Few," featuring B. Slade, which is awesome.
Okay.
He raps and sings in that one, and he's got other singers in there. But then I listened to some of the other songs on there, and man, they're good. They're really, really good. And he's been interviewed a couple times saying that he's going to get criticized, but he doesn't really care, that it's not a money thing for him. It's a spiritual thing. His grandma gave her approval. He grew up in the church, but I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think this guy is just trying to be a mogul. Honestly, I love Snoop. I love Snoop. I love Snoop. But he's got a show about being a football coach, and he's got his own line of marijuana, which I must say is very, very, very fucking good, man. Leafs by Snoop, dude, man. Leafs by Snoop is the real fucking deal, And he's got the reggae thing, Snoop Lion, and now gospel, and
I don't know. I'm the first one to be like critical of if it's gospel or whatever, but I think he is a mogul, and he doesn't have to do something like this. I think this one's coming from a genuine place for him. I really do. And why not? If you got the money, you got the power, you got the connections, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
More power to him, sure.
Then yeah, tear it up, dude. And from the little bit of interviews that I've heard from him, I mean, he seems sincere. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's trying to grab all that Christian cash, but I don't think so. I think it's the real deal.
I think you know, sometimes when you get to that point, you want to do legacy, and maybe that's it, you know, because you think about it. One thing, Snoop's a good guy. Okay, I know you know, during, I forgot, this was years ago, but when he came here to play Montreal, before he ever did the show, he went out and spoke to, you know, a children's group. He spoke to a boys group or something, and, you know, had things to say, lead a positive life and all this. So he does that. And if you watch the Netflix special, he's got, you know, there's something inside him that cares.
Deeply.
Yeah, that's cool, you know. Hey, man, he's got one life on Earth. He's doing it, you know.
He's doing it. He doesn't have to do any of that stuff. He could be all up in his Kanye West tower making bad clothing.
Oh, dude, yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I like the fact that these guys sometimes do that. You know, mad respect to somebody like Ice-T also, who just, you know.
SVU and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, do what you want. If that's your expression, but like I can see a sincerity and a genuine like wanting to help thing. I respect a Snoop over a Kanye.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? It's not all dollar bill.
No, I just think that when it comes to this, you know, sometimes people, it's a gift you have. It's a gift you have. You never take that for granted. You never start thinking that you are the gift. You're nothing. You know, you're a vessel. I mean, these artists, that's, you know what? It's funny because that's one of the things I told you I was maybe not even about to talk about. But, you know, I've kind of come to the conclusion that when it comes to doing these Vinyl Junkies shows, I'm not even sure that I want to do interviews with musicians or artists because I find conversations like this infinitely, maybe even more interesting, but certainly as engaging. You know, where it's like, okay, so what are you supposed to do? You know, I'm supposed to fucking just jump through a bunch of hoops so I can book this star and I can book that star. And then it's like, it's a huge pain in the ass, and I don't think that I have the fucking stomach for it.
Well, it's the problem with it is that it's going to be so hit or miss. You're going to get people that want to do it just to plug something.
Yeah.
But you're going to get people that are just like vinyl freaks. You need to find the musicians that are it's going to be so hit or miss. I don't know.
Well, speaking of hit or miss, you're not even going to be here next week, so that's
No.
Yikes, man. I've reached out to a couple of people to see if I'm going to get anyone to do a show together, but hey, you want to pick out a winner? We are going to stop now because we've gone over an hour, but good show, man.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll pick a winner from all of these names here, and the winner for this week, you know who it is? The winner will be, you'll get a record. You're not getting the Ministry record. That's being given another time, but I will give you a selection from Vinyl Me Please, their shop. You can pick up this Dream Wife if you like what I've just spoken about. You can pick up that Miles Davis, that's there. You can pick up the Badu, I believe that's there too. Jerem,
oh my God, can we talk? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Jerem Vandergriff. Thank you for sharing. You guys keep sharing the show, keep commenting. We read it all. Now that we're turning off the show, we're going to come and interact with you. And we're going to pick winners from exactly what's going on now. It's been fun, man.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening to us.
I already miss you for next week, dude. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, but enjoy your week in music, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Later, everybody. Thanks for watching.